quick guys, before we get started, this is what you're going to need to get this whole bumper removed and the installation of the lights. The first thing would be a 10 millimeter socket and extension. This is actually optional with the ratchet. That bolt that you're going to be taking off that needs this is also a Phillips. So if you have a Phillips, just go in there and use this. If for some reason it's stripped, it shouldn't be, then you can use the 10 millimeter socket. So that's that. You're gonna need a big flathead. That's to pry the top of the bumper. So you stick it in there and use it as leverage, and you'll see in the video how you'll use that. You'll need a tab remover. A lot of people have plastic ones. This is my favorite. I've used it in other videos as well. It's just an old little flathead that I bent, and you can get into those Lexus tabs or Toyota tabs, and you stick it in there and pry up with the angle. So this works perfect for me, but if you have something else, or even if you have a regular flathead screwdriver, it needs to be this size so you can get in there real good, or a tab remover, the little forks. What you would do with the straight one is you would use something else as leverage, like even your finger. So you stick the flathead underneath the tab and then pry up. This is gonna be way better. Some of these are Harbor Freight tools, so I don't mind ruining them, but this came super useful. There's also a Lexus screwdriver in your trunk that you should be able to use. You're gonna need some wire strippers for the wires that go to the reflectors, some crimpers for your little connectors that you use, whatever you decide to splice. I use these channel locks for the crimp-on connectors, the ones that close into the wire. Once you get the wire in there, then you get this channel locks to really put pressure on there and completely make contact. You'll see in the video why they're needed. I didn't use this in the video, but use some thick painter's tape, and you can use it to protect your bumper. So put it on the top side right here. And if you have to kind of pry on there, then you're not gonna be messing with the paint. Also, if you protect the top right here of the bumper, when you're setting the bumper back up, and this edge kind of lingers and moves around, it's not gonna scratch your bumper. I got lucky because I was careful, but I know that it's something worth mentioning for somebody else that wants that peace of mind. And that's about everything you need to get this going. Obviously, you're gonna need some connectors. That's all up to you. You're gonna need a splice kit and or splice connectors, and you're gonna need a harness kit for a trailer hitch if you want. If you want to hardwire it, that's fine too. It's totally up to you. So, all right, let's get started. so I gotta drive to Harbor Freight real quick and pick up a little bit of wire just in case I need some extra length. I have a feeling that I'm gonna need some wire for the right side, and maybe a connector. I've seen guys use a trailer connector, so if they have them, I'm gonna pick one up and make it a quick disconnect in case the bumper ever has to come off again. So let's hit up Harbor Freight, see what they got, and then we'll come back and get this started. So Harbor Freight opens at 8, and I just so happen to have one literally like 2 minutes from my house. And it's next to an auto zone too, so that's kind of nice. All right, the bad part about going to Harbor Freight is there's always a possibility of you grabbing shit you don't need. And that's entirely possible today, so. All right, let's get in there. 12. This is where all the trailer shit is. Sweet. Got one here. It's only $8. Alright. Got a couple extra things, but nothing too crazy. So I do have some connectors at home. I got these little test leads so we can test our blinker wire. This is way overkill because of the gauge of the wire, but it's all they had, and it's supposed to be weatherproof, so we'll make it work. I got a couple of shrink tubes. Everything was $14, so ready to go. All right, I'm gonna start taking shit apart, and this could potentially be a huge pain in the ass, but we're gonna find out. I've had these lights for a few weeks now, and I really hate how basic the blinkers look on the RCFs, and this should spice it up a little bit. So first thing I gotta do is remove my tow hitch, and then I'm gonna start taking off bolt and clips off the bottom. I have to jack it up to see the underneath because I hope I don't have to take my diffuser off. It's completely bolted on in there. Like, it's a pain in the butt. I don't want to take it off, so if we can avoid it, we're gonna do everything we can to do that. All right, so the first screw that we gotta take off is inside of here. You guys will see that. It's a Phillips or a 10 millimeter. I'm gonna use a Phillips and take it out on both sides, and we'll move on to the next part. Just wanted to show you guys the bottom of my diffuser. It's getting beat up by my driveway. The rest of it looks good though. It's a little dirty down here, but it looks like this is getting a little bit chipped from the tires kicking back, debris, but other than that, from an aesthetics point of view, you can't really see that damage, right? So I can always touch that up. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take all of this out so it's out of the way. Gotta get these clips off. There's 2 clips. Put them in here. They should stay safe there. And then the rest pops up. There we go. So you'll notice it's got all these white clips right here. And everything, you just gotta grab it from the bottom and pull upwards and this will pop off. So we'll throw this back here. All right, now we're gonna be really careful. Take this tab off without scratching it. There we go. And looks like it's got a little clip in there to hold it, but I'd take it out so you don't fuck it up. That looks like 10 millimeter, maybe an 8, we'll find out. There we go, get this little guy off. I think these are both the same. I don't see a right or left on there. They look identical, so, but just in case, we'll keep the right one there, left one there. All right, let's get this part off, and then I'm hoping this has to come off too, I think, maybe. Yeah, it looks like. Just pulls right off. I don't know if it needs to come off, but I'd rather it not get damaged. So I'm just gonna put that there. All right, I'm trying to avoid having to take off the diffuser, so I'm doing everything up top first, and then hopefully I can either reach in there enough to take the lights off, or I'm gonna have to separate the diffuser from the bumper so I can get those last bolts underneath. There's 5 little bolts and my diffuser is covering them. So those of you that don't have one, you're lucky. All right, looks like it is a 10 millimeter. All right, real quick. So this part, to separate the bumper, there is these little metal guides, one on top, one on bottom, and the bumper's pressed between it. So you have to stick a flathead in there and wedge it out without fucking shit up. See that? That's what you're wedging out. So I'm gonna stop recording so I don't bend anything, but I'm gonna work this all the way through until I get it completely off. All right, so I found myself having to pry on the bumper quite a bit, and I'm afraid to put a kink in the paint or flexing it the wrong way, so I'm taking off the diffuser. It sucks, but it's gotta be done. This by far is the scariest part. So when you first pry on this, this is the bolt that we took off from underneath. And it's got these little lips here, and they sound super loud when you pry it. So I stuck my fingers in there gently and worked it out, pried it without flexing the bumper. And then once you have that little gap, then you get your fingers in there and you can kind of just pull it all out. So it's out from here. I'm gonna do the other side. I'll actually record the other side for you guys. All right, so getting my fingers in there. There we go. There we go. All right, and here's that bolt I lost. All right, now we have to disconnect a sensor that's over here. So we'll get that unplugged, and I think there's one more maybe, but I'll let you guys know right now. I forgot about these clips right here. These gotta come off too. So I made this screwdriver from a cheap screwdriver that I didn't want, and it is the best thing for removing tabs. There we go. We got 4 of these, so one more. All right. So give me a chance to clean up my diffuser as well. We're gonna have to run the wire through here, and to do that, you have to drill a hole. So this is where it gets mounted, and our hole should be right about there. And this is a really flush mount, so I'm gonna have to make a bigger hole on there so that this is completely flush in that hole. So I'm gonna get a bigger bit, but I'm gonna drill from the other side so that I don't scrape the bumper. All right, pretty much same thing with this one. So clips in here. One thing you want to keep in mind is this is going to be thicker than the original one. So when you go to put it on, don't get scared if it ends up being a little more flush. It's just, I mean, obviously the LED's in there. This is just the reflector, so. All right, where it's gonna mount is right here, so. All right, I just wanna punch through so I know where my hole is, and then I'll drill from the other side again. All right, that's in. If you want to be extra cautious, you can put some silicone in there if you wanted to. There's already silicone on the lights. I think it'll be fine, if I'm being honest. And man, these look like crap now that I'm looking at them up close. So I'm excited to see how this turns out. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm bringing one side over here, to connect all 3 of those, except for the blinker. What I'm going to do is just cut these guys here. All right, real quick, I got these together. So the white one's gonna be the daytime running lights, and the red is gonna be the brake. The black is going to be your ground, and the yellow is individual blinkers. So those have to be their own separate cable. These can all get tied together on one light. This has to get ran to the other turn signal, but we'll find it close by, I'm sure. I don't think I have to run it all the way across. We just got to do a little bit of poking around and test it. Here is the wiring harness. Get yourself a smaller gauge one, because this is way overkill, but I don't feel like running to the store right now, and going overkill is not really going to be a big deal. I'm going to cut this right about here, and you'll be able to disconnect it from here. I'll run the other wires up top and connect those where they have to go. And if I ever have to remove the bumper, this will be where I disconnect it right here. So just similar to that other connector that I had somewhere over here, somewhere right here. So this is ultimately what I would like, is to have disconnect this guy, and then boom, bumper comes off. Make sure you have your shrink wrap already on one side or the other, so that once you connect it, you can slide it over and heat it up. All right, so there's a rubber grommet down here where you can feed your cables through, and that's what I'm doing right now. And it sucks doing it with one person, and there's nowhere good to put the camera, so I'm gonna do it first, and then I'll film after. I'm sorry guys, this shit sucks by yourself. So kind of what happened with my headers is I got fed up with filming, and I just wanted to get the install done. But this, I'll get most of it, and man, look how good they look. All right, let's keep moving. So my thing right now is I want to put the bumper kind of halfway on, and I'll turn on the car and do some test this wire here, because I think I can tap into it, and I want to make sure that it's carrying both signals. If not, then I have to run a wire that way closer to the right signal. And yeah, so, and right now the individual wire that I have here, this little guy, that is coming from the right signal. The left one is in the harness, the yellow in the harness. So something to keep in mind. I want to show you guys real quick what I found out. So for the right turn signal, it's this red wire right here, and I have my test light hooked up to ground, which is this bolt right here. And just want to like get enough of the sheathing off where you can see this blink. So that's going to be this wire here. So all I'm going to do is put a little crimp connector on this without having to cut this. So I'll just cut off a little bit of the sheathing so that it makes good contact, and then this will piggyback on there without having to cut this off. And then I'll go ahead and rewrap this with some electrical tape, and this will be good to go. And then the rest of the stuff is going to go onto this connector here. So so far I know that this green wire right here is going to be the left turn signal, so I'll tie into that one with the, I'm going to cut this up a little bit, and this is just the easiest place to splice. So that's just what I'm doing. There we go. And this will be the same thing too, just piggybacking onto these. I don't want to completely cut these, like the bumpers. I'll show you guys the connectors that I'm using. It's these little guys here. So the wire passes through. Nope, wrong angle. The OEM wire passes through, and then the new wire goes in here, and then you crimp it and it stays. These are very unreliable, so I always make sure that I strip the wire a little bit so that it makes good contact. Otherwise, you're gonna be chasing your tail later on, figuring out why something's not working. I have a weight on the brake right now, and I'm gonna check for my brake light. There it is. Okay, so it looks like green is the blinker, red is the brake light. Now we got to find our running daytime light, and then we're all set to start crimping. All right, so I have the daytime lights on right now, and it looks like that's gonna be our yellow. So our yellow, daytime running, our red is brake light, and our green is our blinker. And this is on the driver's side light. And then on the right side, passenger side, this red right here is the blinker. All right, we're gonna go ahead and crimp this. So I don't know if you can see, but I've already stripped a little bit of the sheathing there so it makes good contact. And now I just gotta make sure this, I can see the wire in there when it's being crimped. All right, so that's good. All right. These are a pain in the butt. Looks like it grabbed though, so that's good. All right. Before I tape it, I am going to turn on the blinker. I don't have the ground hooked up right now, so I'm just gonna touch this real quick. There you go. All right, so I have my connector splice here, and I ended up having to do some other connections here because I realized that if you have to take the tail light out, this has to go with it. So I can't hard splice here. So now we're gonna tuck it in and test everything. All right, everything works the way it's supposed to. So it's time to start putting the bumper back in. And there's these little hooks there. And you gotta push under. There we go. I'm gonna get the sides in now. Sucks doing this shit with one hand. All right. Bumpers in. I am gonna do a little bit of cleanup because everything underneath is gross, and then I'll start putting other things back together. This is pretty much reversing how you put everything back on. I'm not really gonna go into too much detail on this. From here I'll cut out and I'll show you guys how the lights look when they're done, and you guys can determine if it's worth it for you and if it's something you want to upgrade. All right guys, finally done. Time to get the car off the jack. I got the jack stands off, and now we just need a washer because I got handprints all over the place.